Hi everyone, time for another update on the Sling TSi build, in fact the flight testing phase. So we are into March now. February was a bit of a washout. We had quite a few storms and a lot of rain. Runway wasn't usable for a while, so the aircraft stayed in the hangar. So I managed to get a few little jobs done. Some of the snag lists got completed. The big one was the replacement of the rubber on the canopy door seals. Managed to find something that was quite good, which had adhesive backing, and that works really well, and it now seals the canopy really well. And kind of halfway into March now, we had finally a decent weather window to start doing some testing. So on the day was again, my test pilots Tim and Alistair. Basically they went up in the aircraft again. I think this was the 7th flight, I believe, during the test flight phase, which was the max all-up weight. So the aircraft was fully loaded at the back with ballast weights to simulate total 950 kilo. We loaded up to 949. And this was the takeoff run on the max all-up weight. Again, they didn't climb out much fast, just trying to keep it low, because you need to do a continuous 5-minute climb, and obviously having airspace restrictions ahead kept the initial climb low until they could start recording the climb performance. So flight testing is going on pretty well. Most of it was done by Tim, the chief test pilot on my aircraft, and Alistair as well helped out at various key stages of the flight. So initial flying included just general handling. There was a slight tendency to roll right, so that was addressed by adding a trim tab on the left aileron. That resolved that issue. The rudder also needs a little bit of a small trim tab on the right side, because there's a slight tendency in cruise flight you need to have a little bit pressure on the left rudder to keep the ball in the center, so that should address that one as well. So we're pretty much there in terms of all the requirements that's really needed. So this is the Cloud Ahoy from the SD card recording of the 5-minute climb at max continuous power. You can see this was done on autopilot, so the autopilot is hunting for that 75 knots best climb speed at full power, 5,450 rpm, which was at the climb setting, and the aircraft almost continuously it averaged out at about 1,000 feet per minute throughout the 5 minutes, so that was good. So the performance numbers did matched. We also did the stalls and spins. Obviously Tim and Al did that at max takeoff weight, plus myself and Al went up, and he put me through a little bit of a stomach churning couple of maneuvers, so it was interesting. At the stalls, the feedback was, and I could observe as well, that it is quite benign in terms of the stall characteristics, so nothing surprising. The aircraft handling is not an issue. So we did all the maneuvers like steep turns and the side slips, and all of that was assessed. Following that, we had to do various other tests. There was a requirement of a 2-hour endurance flight, so continuously basically airborne for 2 hours. So that was done. Most of it was flown on autopilot. In the nav mode, we could create a flight plan and just let the autopilot fly the plan. It was great. And also in between was hunting for traffic that was showing up on the ADSB in and screens. So ADSB checks, it all checked out. We called up RAF Lake and Heath and asked for our position, and they gave us a squawk and all that. It all works fine. The radios, the nav radios, comm radios, all working as per needed. We're still short of a few landings. There are 15 landings that are required to comply with before I put in the paperwork, so that's still left to do. So this is a list of the other tests that are key tests that were done during the test flight phase. The engine switch off and the prop feather test, again Tim and Al did that. They also checked the Garmin Smart Glide feature, and it worked quite well when that was done. And then we did all the autopilot function checks, things like the AOA calibration. All of that was done early on in the flight testing, so that's all now set up quite well. Now it's just a matter of the remaining few landings to get those landings under the belt, and the paperwork can go off. So basically in the UAE, in the LA, in the UK, you are flying the test flying under a LA COC, certificate of clearance, and once you have your test flying, the requirements, there's 4 sheets to fill out. Once you have all that information, you submit the paperwork, and then they will issue with your permit if there are no further questions on it. So I'm kind of at that stage where I can go ahead with that. Once again, thanks for my test pilots team and Al, and hopefully if there's anything else, I'll keep you updated. Bye.